Hello everybody, Dullahan here with another Dawn of War 2, Dawn of War 3 tip of the week. And today I want to talk about, this is an issue of Comet's Rest, but you can apply this to any map. It is treating the elite point generators as invisible void space. So what I mean by this is, unless you play on Karen's Rest where it's really hard not to bump into it, these areas can be a little tricky to maintain vision on. And so, this is kind of a game where my opponent didn't even bother to capture his elite point generators. He actually has consistently done this. So, I'm able to take advantage of this by eventually having double elite point generators. So you can kind of see how he doesn't even check the spot on the map for basically the entire game. Kind of keep an eye on the minimap and his positioning and all that jazz. This is just stuff going on, you know, things are happening, fights are happening, but it's not really a big deal. Lots of Banshees in this game, which is kind of fun. I've been doing a lot of Banshee strats, but that's something for something else. It's really funny looking at 8 times speed though. So the second elite point generator goes up here, and I have 2 elite point generators, which means I accumulate elite points roughly every minute or so. It goes down with escalation phases. The timing doesn't really make any sense to me at all, but it does kind of change over time. And yeah, you can see there's a reason for this. Is my opponent actually gets a little screwed over by this elite point strategy. So he does just start spamming Banshees like crazy with the plan to use Maka's Fortune to kind of do a ton of work. And it does end up giving him a small advantage. But you can see at the time point where it actually gives him an advantage. We're watching from his perspective, right? So he spent 2 points on Striking Scorpions and 3 on Maka, and he has 1 in the bank, right? So that's 6 elite points and halfway to a 7th elite point, right? And he saw I got Ronan, which means I spent 3 points. So you can see this is the Fortune Banshee mob, just kind of able to roll over everything, unfortunately, because Fortune is a little strong. But anyway, so we're at roughly 13 minutes in the game, almost 14. So 14 minutes, if you consider elite points to be a function of 1 elite point every 2 minutes, it should be 7 elite points, which means I could have a 4-point elite or maybe a 5-point elite coming out, or at least from his perspective, right? So he's has, I believe he's gonna have that elite point. So he's gonna have 8 elite points or 7 elite points in a minute. So he's exactly in time with the clock. So he's getting ready to engage here. He's got tier 2. He thinks he's killed the webway. He killed a bunch of units. He's ready to go push in. This big Banshee mob. So we're at 14 minutes here, right? 7 elite points. Oh wait, it's a Wraith Lord. So this is what happens when you ignore the elite point generators and your opponent has an elite loadout that contains these mid-game elites. Anything 5 through 7 points is significant here, but even the 9 points can be somewhat applicable here, for example. Because when you don't pay attention to the elite points, this stuff comes out sooner than you're expecting. So he hasn't researched Shadow Spectres, he doesn't have any Dark Reapers, all he has is Banshees, and there's a Wraith Lord in his face. And so you can imagine how this is going to go for all these Banshees now, because, you know, Wraith Lord is just going to absolutely destroy everything there, because it has AoE attacks and crits and tons of melee damage, etc., etc., etc. So my point here is to illustrate 2 things. The first is that you can't ignore elite point generators. You have to at least check them to see if your opponent is having them, because cheeky breaky motherfuckers like Dullahan will totally build on your elite point generator on Comet's Rest. Secondly, is you have to be conscious of your well, I guess there's 3 things. You want to be conscious of what your opponent elite loader is and try and have a rough idea of when he can get that elite. So normally, if I built the Ronan and got the Wraith Lord immediately after, that's 10 elite points. That would be at 20 minutes. That would be 6 minutes from now. So I got the Wraith Lord, you know, essentially 5.5 minutes earlier than I would have normally by building these elite point generators. But the other thing is also, if you're in my position, is don't be afraid to use these mid-game elites and in concert with the elite point generators to get them on the field quicker. A lot of people like the early game elites. You know, they like to get the threes and maybe a couple of fours, maybe a 5 point if they're elder to get Kyre or something. But it's pretty rare to see the 6s, the 7s, and the 9s. But when used effectively, especially with elite point generators, they can come out at a really strong time where nothing can really deal with them. You know, if like granted, you can reach a point where the 7 point elites become a lot weaker. But you know, something like the Meganops, for example. Meganops, I've done this before where I did like a Meganops rush. I didn't do it very well, but a Meganops rush is also extremely powerful because they do really good melee damage, like absolutely crazy damage. So, and because they have their rockets and everything, they're actually really good for timing pushes. So, I guess I want you guys to think about how you can use the mid game elites for timing pushes and unexpected power spikes, and just keep an eye on elite point generators. Make sure you're not blind to them because you end up in situations like this where you just get completely stomped by a Wraith Lord and you have no way to retaliate against that. You're just done. Anyway, thanks for watching this week's Tip of the Week.